Patreon Q&A number 66, part 2. Part 1 was released earlier today. I still want to thank all 99 of my incredibly overpowered patrons. Guys, that is incredible, all the support that you show me, and I cannot thank you enough. To everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers, so tread carefully after this point. Juris D asks, hey Z, I finally found out how to work Patreon. I've recently discovered your videos on One Punch Man, and they've been great. Hey, thanks, Juris. I appreciate that and your support, my friend. Anyways, my question is, what if King joined the martial arts tournament? What would happen? Would he win? And if so, how? So this is another fun question. So I'm assuming that a lot of people know who King is. Like, he's super popular. He's like a super famous person in our reality. So it's likely that more people would know him than people would not. So I assume that at least 2 out of 4 of his opponents at the minimum would probably know who he is. So I assume that he's at least going to have one opponent not even fight him. Like, they're going to see that they're going to have to go against King on the bracket, and then they're just going to leave the tournament, and then King is going to get a bypass to the next round because, you know, his opponent ran away. So when King actually gets into the ring, then I assume that he'll also be able to defeat an opponent via them just being too afraid to attack him, and then they're just going to, like, manually tap, or they'll just run out of the ring, and King will win that way. So then I'm sure we'll get into a scenario where maybe somebody just isn't aware of who King is, which is possible, of course. Or they do know who King is, and they're still confident enough to attack him. So at that point, I assume that they're going to have some kind of, like, muscle spasm or some kind of injury, maybe twist their ankle. Something like that's going to happen, which is going to cause them to essentially defeat themselves, giving King the win. Because, you know, we saw something like that happen when that mimic monster went against him in chapter 109, and essentially they, like, broke his ribs and, like, pierced its lungs and killed itself via fear, pretty much. So I say something to less of a extreme degree would happen like that if somebody were to physically try to encounter King. Because I'm not going to say, like, his having others fight for him, you know, the pseudo stand ability, that's probably not going to come into play here in the martial arts tournament. But I also don't think that anyone that he'd be fighting in this tournament is probably strong enough to warrant any kind of response like that. They probably would just lose via shenanigans and fear or something like that. I don't think anybody's going to be able to land a shot on King. Just my opinion, of course. I am aware that King is very polarizing and that people think the opposite would happen. Water Bottle asks, hey, showing a new patron here. Been watching your videos for a while now, and I really like the content. Hey, thanks a lot, Water Bottle. I appreciate that. So a question I've been really wondering is, what would happen if Darkshine took Biceps King, the stuff that created Beefcake? How strong would he be, and what's his disaster level? And would he take a punch from Saitama? I would say that he could, given how durable he already is, and Beefcake didn't even explode when he was punched. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Keep up the good work, man. Hey, thanks again, Water Bottle. So this is a very fun question, and it's difficult to answer, but let's do it anyway. So we don't exactly know the multiplier that the Biceps King Ultimate Steroid Serum thing gives you, because we don't know how strong Beefcake was inherently in his human form. But let's just guess. So he looked like a standard tank topper. You know, so I guess maybe he was B class. We'll meet in the middle of C and A, so we'll just give him B class just for the hell of it. I assume that he was probably on steroids because he's pretty big, and Fukugal says that it's the ultimate steroid, so I assume that he was working on steroids before there, and he was pumping them full of them, so he has some kind of augmented strength. So he's, you know, we'll just say he's B class. And given that the Biceps King made him like at the size of a skyscraper and with the strength of a minimum a high dragon, I mean, blowing away portions of the city with just a fist punch, he's outrageous. The multiplier is insane. So would it work for everyone that way? Maybe, maybe not. We don't really have a good indication of this power. It's not really explained the way the monster cells are, so we can only really guess. And also, given it's the intro to the series and everything's really extreme at that point, this is likely, you know, just extreme, just to exemplify how powerful Saitama is. But nonetheless, if this was given to Darkshine, who is already a high dragon, it for sure is sending him into disaster level god territory. And he would likely be able to easily wipe away an entire city with a strike, instead of just a portion of it the way that Beefcake was. But would he be able to take a punch from Saitama? I think definitely. Maybe even multiple. Yeah, I think he would be able to take multiple punches, because it's really unsure if he, in his base, like human, regular Darkshine, could take a punch from Saitama, because in the VGS, he wasn't able to take a punch from the Ghost of Saitama, so that could either be One telling us that no, he wouldn't be able to take a punch in reality from Saitama, or the VGS is just unreliable. Really unsure, but either way, I think given that he's Darkshine Beefcake would definitely take a punch, or maybe just a couple. I mean, if Meteoric Burst Boros and Awakened Garo could, I think in this theory, God-level Darkshine Beefcake could, for sure. Now, a serious punch, that's a whole different story. It's probably going to kill him, because it's a serious punch, and it's like a pretty much planet-busting thing, and I don't think Beefcake Darkshine would probably be able to take that. I mean, at the minimum, maybe he could take 2, but that's a big maybe. The one above all patrons, Wolf Pup, asks, howdy shonen, on the One Punch Man manga chapter 120, the only necessary thing is strength. When we see those two monsters chasing Daedric Genos and the support team, how strong are those two fodder monsters, and do you think my boy Genos could have taken them head on 1 versus 2? Also, we saw how fast those fodders were, something that Genos struggles against. Would Genos low diff them, or would it be a negative diff? So I think you're pretty spot on. It would probably be like a low or negative diff. And that also goes into what I think their disaster levels are. So those guys strike me as what could be like, I guess like high tiger, something like that. I don't think they're demons. Although they are pretty fast and they look formidable. I mean, given how easily Genos took care of them, I don't think a demon would be able to be taken care of that easily. I mean, they would be able to take just something like that maybe and then keep going. Difficult to say, but also if he didn't have them carrying on his back, he could still just do the same thing, like shoot those lasers at his arms, take care of them very easily. And maybe he doesn't even have to do that if he's just fighting them without holding the support team on his back. Maybe he could just straight up like kick them or punch them and just make them explode. You know how he took care of G5's True Form, something like that. They would be no issue for him, which makes me think that they're probably like not demon level, maybe above Tiger. My next question is, on the previous Q&A, I think someone mentioned what disaster level a meteor is classified as. Okay, so here's the scenario. A giant meteor is coming straight at the Monster Association base. Giro orders Monster Goketsu and Elder Centipede to take out any means necessary. So my question is, would the combined power of Goketsu and Elder Centipede, could they take out the meteor? And if they are unable, the executive's manga will be on standby if things go south. Your thoughts? So I think Goketsu just by himself can probably take care of the meteor. We saw just what like a normal punch, I assume, could do. He blew out that stadium. I don't think that was like a quote-unquote serious punch from Goketsu. So if we're like theorizing how powerful an earnest, serious punch from Goketsu could be, it's probably enough to take down the meteor. And if that's not enough, then a serious technique named move from Goketsu could probably take care of the meteor as well. Unfortunately, we never see anything like that from him, which is, goes into the whole thing about him being cut too short. But like, talking about like the Water Stream Rock Smash Fist, or the Crossfang Dragon Slayer Fist, or the Whirlwind Iron Cutting Fist, or the Void Fist. Whatever Goketsu's version of that stuff is, if he did that to the meteor, I think that would be enough to take it out. And then Elder Centipede is just kind of overkill at this point. Because Goketsu, I just rate him really high. What games would you like to be remastered for the PS4 and or PS5? Personally, I like Toy Story, Dino Crisis, Freedom Fighters to be remastered. Spyro Trilogy is my favorite one. So oddly enough, I've never played any of those games, but I do know that they're pretty good. They're held in high regard. But as for me, most of the games that I already want to be remastered are being remastered or already have been, like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and then with Final Fantasy VII, that's awesome. That's more than enough. And then we're going to get the new Elder Scrolls game on PS5. So I'm set, but just one fun pick that's very unlikely to ever be remade, and that's this game God Hand. It's so much fun. It was kind of like Devil May Cry without the guns and stuff. It kind of reminds me of One Punch Man too, because of like the fighting dynamic to it and the goofiness of it. Although it's way more goofy than what One Punch Man is. But I love that game so much, and it would be incredible if they updated it for the PS5. That would just be amazing. If Levi Ackerman jumped in the One Punch Man universe and joined the Hero Association, what class/rank would you put him at? Let's not forget he took out the Beast Titan thrice. I think he would be a low A class, high B class, your opinion. I think he would be high A class, actually. He's ridiculous. And of course, he's bringing over his gear because I think that's fair, because a lot of the A class and even some of the S class rely on their gear to be as powerful as they are. So, you know, we're not going to handicap Levi here. So if he has all of his Titan fighting gear and stuff like that, given what he has shown that he's capable of, I think that's more than enough to put him in the top 5 of the A class. He might even be competing with like the Disciples for the top spot. Now, maybe he's not as strong and fast as them, but everything else that he brings to the table, I think, is above all of the other A class heroes, besides like a Mind Mask, of course. And my last question is, who out of all your patrons is the #1 best patron in the world? And what disaster level would you give his patron bucks? Choose wisely. Also, did I ever tell you that you're my favorite best content creator classified above and beyond plus Ultra Instinct multi-universal buster? Have a Merry Christmas, Shonen. Wolf Pup out. P.S. Fubuki waifu material. That is absolutely true. If there's anybody that I would waifu, it is Fubuki. She has many layers, all of which I would like to peel back. But as for who is the #1 patron, well, that's easy. It's you, Wolf Pup. Both statistically, you take the cake on that, and in my personal opinion as well. And given that the previous #1 was a random guy who I used to call Above Dragon Guy, considering that you have eclipsed him, that means that you are officially in the G word. You are a disaster level god, my friend. Yonatan G asks, hey, the one above all, what's up? I'm just having fun with this Q&A. I hope you're doing well, Yonatan. My first question is, how would you rank these 3 characters by IQ? The characters are Nier, L, and Light. Thoughts? So I would put L at #1. I think he probably edges Light in the IQ department, but not by that much. I think Light is a close second, and I think a large part in the reason that Light was able to overcome L is because Light is like a full-blown sociopath, as to where L still has his morals intact, and that probably held him back. And also, you know, the odds were kind of already stacked against L, and considering that he did so well, I think that also proves how high his IQ is, especially compared to somebody with already an extremely high IQ like Light. And then Nier, #3, he's kind of just picking up on the sloppy seconds of both of them. I don't really respect Nier that much. My second question is, if all the S-Class heroes were to eat monster cells, which S-Class heroes would keep their human form like Hellfire and Gale? Thanks, bro. Hey, thank you, Yonatan, for all your support. So I actually think most of them would probably be able to retain their human forms. Aside from like maybe Metal Bat, and then the outliers like Child Emperor, Metal Knight, Drive Knight, Genos, I think everyone else would essentially be able to keep it, because I think they're probably just as skilled as and is in tuned with their bodies the way that Hellfire and Gale are. I don't think they're that much greater than the majority of the S-Class in that department. I actually wanted to talk about that in the video, but I forgot to mention it. But yeah, I think most of them, except the ones that I mentioned, would probably be able to go in and out of their human and monster forms, given what we have with the parameters for it. ShadowBatX asks, how's it going, aesthetically pleasing one above all shonen? I know it's been a week since we talked, but I felt like it's been years. The part where you talked about Garo freaked me out because you didn't read all the way through and stopped right before that roasting comment of mine. Now, I was just messing with you, ShadowBat. At the moment, I knew I effed up, and when you paused, so I upped my pledge as an apology. You didn't have to do that, ShadowBat. I'm just playing with you. You can criticize Garo, whatever else you want. It's all fun. It's all fun in games. I love Garo now. I became a stan of his after your last Q&A. Hope you're proud of me. I am proud, but also feel free to roast anyone you want, even me. So I might have an idea how Golden S will have a buff in the manga, and in a way have Orochi come back. What if Black S also merges with the remains of Orochi's head, since Black S is someone who continues to multiply his cell count and can merge into one being? He can merge with another cell such as Orochi. Orochi also produces monster cells, so the cell aspect can still work since cell fusion or merging is a biological concept. Also, the beef that Black S has with Orochi doesn't happen in the webcomic, and that was shown for a possible reason. With this buff, that could mean that multi-cell S can do more rather than die instantly. And when Garo faces Golden S, he would get a significant buff because of his merge. You know how much I love Garo, so is this possible? Well, I would say that it's possible, of course, but the probability of it is low, in my opinion at least, and that's because we haven't really seen any evidence of Golden or Multi or just Black as being able to do something like this. You know, it is possible with cell merging and whatnot, but just given that we haven't seen anything like this, I would say that it's probably not going to happen. But I do like that you do have a concept for making Multi-S stronger, which is something that could happen as well. Or they just want to keep him as just like basically fodder to prove the difference between him and Tatsumaki, and also the difference between him and Golden S. But that is another way for Orochi to come back. Actually, you know what? I think it's probably more likely that Orochi like merges with someone rather than Black S merging with him. Like maybe Orochi like symbiotically takes over someone. Maybe it could be similar to like how evil natural water sucked the oil out of sludge jellyfish. It could be something like that. Last question. Some reason my mind went to thinking about hair. No, I don't have a thing for hair. But do you think that the bearded worker, aka Blast, aka Saitama's long-lost brother who could show up with his beard still intact, indicating that an aging legend has returned? Also, in relation to the hair question, will Saitama regrow his hair after defeating God, showing as a funny way that he regained his emotions rather than just having his serious face? Your thoughts? I think that would be awesome. I never really thought about Saitama getting his hair back because I always kind of correlated it to like Saitama losing his power, which is like a theory that a lot of people have at the end of the series. Even Murata himself theorizes that Saitama is going to lose his powers via like God taking them or something, and I would be super disappointed if that turned out to be. But if he gained his hair back as kind of just like a reward for coming to, you know, completing his character arc, if you will, I think that would be a just reward for him, and it would also be funny in the same way. But as for Blast being the long lost brother of Saitama, I don't think that's the case. I don't think anyone's really related to Saitama at this point, at least in my opinion. I think it's the chances of us even seeing any of Saitama's family is slim. Or at least I think so. Maybe in a data book or something like that. But it just doesn't seem like we're going to see it in the story because one hasn't ever focused on anything like this. So I think he probably just wants to keep that door closed. Oh, I forgot to say that you are one of my favorite content creators, and you're providing more than enough for us disciples of yours. You are right up there with Murata and One himself with the One Punch Man content. I'm being serious. It's true. Hey, ShadowBat, you're too kind. And the patronage you upping and all of the nice things that you have to say, you're just too good to me. So thank you for everything, honestly. Anyways, thanks for showing how awesome Garo is. And have a Merry Christmas, disaster level above Saitama. Shown and love you as always. P.S. Garo, best broken character ever. This time, you'll give me a high five out of your own free will. Hey, it was always out of my free will, my friend. And Merry Christmas to you as well. I hope that you have a great day and a great week and everything. Thank you again, ShadowBat. Bryan asks, Yo, Z, I know you're always hesitant with crossover battles, but I like the ones where the powers of both people are similar. So what do you think of a fight between peak Hero Hunter Garo and Guy Sensei from the original series would look like? Also, what did you think of the UFC 2 weeks ago? I was salty my boy Holloway lost, although I didn't like his chances going in. So yeah, I am hesitant with the crossover battles, and that's mainly because of the comments. I don't want it to become too toxic and too much of a battlefield. It's really unwelcoming when stuff comes like that, and I don't want to bring that kind of negativity to my channel, but it's really like difficult to avoid that. It's kind of just part and parcel of being in this community in the first place, so it's almost unavoidable. But I'll say that if you're talking about Guy from, so you say the original series, so I assume you mean not Boruto, just like original Naruto, and I guess maybe Shippuden too. I don't think you're just talking about part 1, pre-time skip, because Guy's power is really ambiguous at that point, and he's not tapping into the gates at that point as well either. So when you mean original series, I'm going to take it as you mean it's like Shippuden Guy going into the gates. And if you are talking about Guy going into the gates, that's too much for peak Hero Hunter Garo. We're going to have to, at the minimum, go into pre-woke Garo territory even to start have a chance against like Gates Guy, and then if we're even going into like Night Guy territory, like peak Guy, that might even need Awakened Garo to be able to deal with something like that. Now, this is also where I'm hesitant because people are just going to like, oh, I have a calc for this and that, which don't really matter to me, but I haven't done enough of my due diligence to accurately say like what would happen, but I can say pretty confidently that you would either need peak pre-woke Garo or awakened Garo to go head to head with like a serious might guy. And then also, as for the UFC, it was awesome. All of the fights were pretty great except for the Nunes one. But, you know, of course, styles make matchups. But the Holloway fight was interesting because Volkanovski fought the best he's ever fought. He was like a computer. And I love when fighters just become like, they go into like an algorithmic type fighting where they just stay on their steady game plan. They never deviate away from it. And they essentially make no mistakes the whole entire fight. And Holloway has been really complacent with his style as of lately. He's kind of just been fighting the same way. If you like look at his last 3 fights, he hasn't really changed. He's kind of just like sedentary, but also active at the same time. It's odd the way that he's been fighting. So he needs to evolve if he wants to get his title back. And I think that's why Volkanovski excelled, because he exploited the one-dimensionalness of Holloway. That's kind of just become his style. But also, I really like the main event, too. It was super close going into the 5th round. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 99 of my incredibly awesome, handsome, attractive, overpowered patrons. Guys, I love you so much. And I can't thank you enough for all your support. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, simply just check out my Patreon. $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.